The colossal spaceship of Zira floated silently above Earth, its sleek metallic surface glistening under the blaring sun like a predator patiently waiting for its prey. Inside, Zira, an esteemed member of the Etharn species, stood in front of a vast array of holographic displays, watching the vibrant planet rotate beneath her. Her iridescent skin shimmered with hues of blue and green, matching the light streaming through the ship's windows. Multifaceted eyes zeroed in on bustling cities, wrapped in their tapestry of human existence. She clasped her hands, reveling in the thrill of the unknown, as her ship's sensors beamed back information on Earth's inhabitants. Each flicker of data reinforced her worldview that these tiny beings were laughably primitive. Earth, she scoffed, her voice laced with condescension. A world where inhabitants flutter about in a cloud of ignorance. They barely grasp the simple notions of the universe. Her fingers flicked impatiently over the glowing panel, increasing the magnification of the city below. The monitors displayed data on human technologies, familiar constructs of steel and concrete that appeared almost haphazard in their design. She remembered her time at the Galactic Congress, where humans spoke of their great inventions but failed to advance much beyond their own trivial frameworks. To Zira, their inventions seemed like toys, insignificant next to the wonders of her civilization. A digital map of their history unfurled on one of the screens, wars, famine, and thriving ecosystems at risk. To Zira, the narrative was all too predictable. Pathetic, she muttered, her disdain ringing clear in the sterile air of her ship, more like ants than intelligent beings. For centuries, she had traveled the cosmos, experiencing the wonders of intelligent life forms across various galaxies. Yet here, staring down at an insignificant speck in the universe, she felt an odd pull to witness them firsthand. What an extraordinary idea to confirm, through ridicule, the inferiority of another species. The ship lurched slightly as it descended through the atmosphere, shrouded in a glow of shimmering light. As clouds parted and the lush green lands of Earth came into view, Zira allowed herself a fleeting moment of curiosity, a tiny ember amidst her scorn. Perhaps there was more to observe. Perhaps Earth could present a spectacle worthy of her attention. As the ship landed in an expansive field, the ground reverberated under her feet as she stepped out, towering over the landscape. She was met with stunned silence from a small group of humans who had mustered the courage to approach. Their expressions betrayed a mixture of awe and apprehension. "Look at them," she laughed, the sound booming like thunder. "Bright-eyed and stupid, these little creatures think they own their world." Then, catching sight of one bold human stepping forward, his body trembling yet resolute, curiosity flickered in Zira's heart. Something about his steady demeanor intrigued her. Did he dare to challenge her? "Great being," the human addressed her, confidence lacing his voice. "What brings you here?" With deliberate intent, Zira allowed her lips to curl into a condescending smirk. "Curiosity has brought me to this pathetic planet. Show me your remarkable achievements, and perhaps I'll reconsider your species' worth." The gauntlet was thrown, a challenge both intriguing and mildly amusing. Her mission, basking in the folly of humanity, was about to unfold. The townsfolk exchanged glances, uncertainty painted across their faces. Yet amidst their fear, one human remained resolute, the same man from before. His bravado shone like a beacon, even as he faced the magnificent alien. "We have art, music, science," he began, his voice firm despite the trembling fear beneath. "If you're willing to watch, I promise we can show you our greatest wonders." Zira tilted her head, intrigued. "Art? Music? What are these trivial pursuits?" She feigned amusement, but the flicker of curiosity within her burned slightly brighter. "Follow me," the man insisted, undeterred. He extended his hand as if guiding her into a new realm. "There's a science exhibition today, showcasing the innovations of our best minds." With a dismissive wave, Zira followed, her towering form casting a shadow over the crowd. As they approached the fair, colorful banners danced in the breeze, adorned with brilliant designs celebrating human creativity. But Zira's attention was focused solely on the collection of gadgets and inventions sprawled about, reminiscent of cluttered playrooms. The first display featured small robots whirring and tumbling over themselves, What a pathetic display, Zira laughed uproariously. Tiny tin boxes programmed to mimic your movements. Do you think this is impressive? The crowd flinched at her mocking tone, but Jake, the brave human, stepped forward. They're still in development, but they possess potential, just like us. His intensity turned palpable, igniting the atmosphere. Zira snickered. You're betting on potential. How foolish. You humans can't even keep your world intact, and you chase illusions. Are you here to just ridicule us? Jake challenged, pushing back against her dismissive attitude. The atmosphere crackled with his defiance. What brings you joy? Mocking others. The question lingered in the air, a mirror reflecting her own arrogance. There was something admirable about this human spirit. Let's move on, she replied, grinning despite herself. Show me more of these pursuits. I'm dreadfully intrigued by your level of mediocrity. Jake led her to the next demonstration, a group of students showcasing renewable energy concepts through solar panels. His explanation spilled forth like a waterfall as he shared their goal to promote sustainability and combat climate change. Now this is interesting, Zira stated, folding her arms. But can it actually function beyond its charming appearance? It will, Jake insisted. His conviction lit the flame of determination within him. This is the future. It offers an opportunity to change lives. Zira marveled at the passionate fervor within Jake's eyes. An unexpected notion tugged at her. Could there be something extraordinary simmering beneath their charming but limited existence? Tell me, do humans often refute reality? She smiled, her curiosity piqued. What do you mean? He asked, puzzled. Your optimism, this hope, she taunted, weaving her words deliberately. Is it merely a fool's errand? A glimmer of resolve surged within Jake as he held her gaze. No, it's what pushes us forward. It's what allows us to confront our challenges. With each exchange of fiery dialogue, Zira felt the cracks forming around her long-held belief. Something deeper stirred within her, a quiet recognition yearning to break free. That was just the beginning, Jake announced, the competitive fire igniting within him. Let's show you something truly groundbreaking. As the crowd watched their interaction, whispers spread like wildfire, intrigue mingling with disbelief. Could this tiny human convince the grand alien being of humanity's worth? Very well, small creature, she smirked, crossing her arms. But be warned, I am a being of high intellect and vast experience. Your displays better be exceptional. Jake took a deep breath, summoning his courage. Follow me to the main hall, he instructed, leading her through the buzz of the exhibition's vibrant energy. Laughter erupted from families, and children dashed around, weaving through colorful booths. Yet Zira stood isolated, a titan among mortals. Upon entering the main area, Jake revealed a finalized prototype of a renewable energy generator. This is our latest innovation utilizing solar energy, he said proudly, pulling off a dusty tarp to unveil a gleaming array of panels, glinting like jewels in the sunlight. Do tell me how this works and why it matters, Zira challenged, her skepticism unwavering. Through harnessing sunlight, we can produce power to light our homes, schools, and hospitals. It's sustainable, Jake explained, excitement lacing his words. It represents our capacity to adapt and thrive. Zira leaned in closer, her analytical mind firing. But can it withstand the cosmos's trials? Earth itself is unstable, subjecting this fragile technology to imminent failure. Nothing great comes without risk, Jake replied, unwavering in his stance. But we are unyielding. We learn and adapt every day. That resilience defines us. Just then, as Jake excitedly demonstrated the device's capabilities, the ground beneath them tremored ominously. Gasps erupted throughout the audience. A sudden earthquake sent waves of panic across the fair, uprooting tables and scrambling people. Everyone, stay calm, Jake shouted, raising his hands to try to organize the chaos. Get down! Zira's commanding voice cut through the panic. Without thinking, she rushed to shield Jake and several terrified children behind her towering form. The earth rumbled violently, and debris rained from the sky. Move, she urged, her voice booming, forcing the crowd to take action. The weight of her immense body shielded them from falling wreckage. As she grasped collapsing structures above them, Jake turned to her in disbelief. You're protecting us? Logic dictates I must ensure survival, My own and yours, she shot back, though her heart raced in reaction to the danger. It was far more complex than that. Why would you care? He questioned incredulously, heart quickening as he scrambled to escape the impending dangers. As the tremors intensified, she glanced at Jake, who was desperately helping others around him. I have no time to deal with your curiosity, she snapped, though tension twisted within her. Something about his humanity stirred an unfamiliar emotion beneath layers of arrogance. Suddenly, a falling beam shattered in the vicinity, forcing Jake to dive to the side. Watch out, he yelled. And without thinking, Zira extended her arm to intercept the danger, bracing herself against it. The crashing wood splintered against her towering strength, sending vibrations through the air. You risked yourself, Jake exclaimed, astonished. It was purely logical, she retorted, though her feigned indifference hardly concealed her burgeoning respect for these tiny beings. The earthquake continued to roil, uprooting stalls. But amid chaos, she felt the unusual pull of compassion forming a spark within her, allowing her to fight against the preconceived barriers she had fortified around herself. As the quaking subsided, panic morphed into the frantic need for relief and unity. Zira stood towering amidst the chaos, her expansive form casting an eerie shadow over the frightened townsfolk. I need to help, Jake shouted, scrambling to his feet as debris lay scattered around. His determination turned magnetic, calling forth a spark of leadership amidst the fear clouding their minds. What can we do? A woman with wide eyes locked onto Jake's determined gaze. We must ensure everyone is accounted for, he said, rallying the townsfolk around him. We need to clear the area and check for injuries. Zyra, observing from the periphery, felt a peculiar sensation wash over her as she watched the humans rallying together with a fervor she hadn't expected. They forged connections amid fear, working to rescue their friends, neighbors, and families. The fire ignited within Jake, a force that radiated hope and commanded attention. Form groups. If we pull together, we can save those trapped. We're stronger united than divided. But Zira bristled at the concept. Strength in unity seemed laughable. Yet she couldn't deny the pull, logically and emotionally, she found herself engaging. For the first time, she felt a flicker of admiration for humanity's core. Why do they care? Zira muttered to herself, astonished at the bonds unfolding before her. Jake continued organizing the townsfolk, moving from person to person with practiced authority. You there, with the ropes, bind those supports, he commanded. The townsfolk sprang into action, grasping whatever they could find to assist one another. Come on, let's go, he urged, energy surging through his body as he pulled ropes together, watching Zira's gaze track him with curiosity. This small human was not simply leading, he was igniting a spark of purpose. As debris continued falling, Jake's confidence surged. Small children raced forward to assist, tugging along smaller items like flashlights and bandages. Zira marveled. These tiny beings were assembling their own rescue squad, not faltering while exposing their vulnerabilities. Suddenly, a young girl screamed, "Help! My friend is trapped under the stall." She pointed toward a structure teetering dangerously close to collapse. "Stay back!" Jake shouted as he sprinted toward the wreckage. Without a second thought, he dove under the falling pieces, emerging with a small boy in his arms, protective and possessive. "Are you okay?" he whispered, assurance tumbling from his lips as he checked for injury. Zira found herself yelling, "Support him!" pointing at the crowds that started gathering again. They dove into action, lifting stalls and rerouting heavy beams, the details fading against the dramatic moment unfolding. As seconds turned into minutes, Zira noticed Jake's relentless passion flickering like a neon sign, illuminating even the dimmest corners of despair. She began lifting debris herself despite her towering stature, lending aid to the humans who were struggling against gravity. The intuition of strength rushed forth as she grasped a heavy beam and hoisted it up with ease. "Keep pushing," she called, her voice echoing over the panic, leaving confusion in its wake. One by one, they worked together, swapping ideas and reinforcing structures, each success building momentum. Zira was no longer viewing these humans as pests, but as someone worthy of respect, all rising amid chaos with strength. When the last beam was finally lifted, they cleared the wreckage to reveal a semblance of normalcy. The townsfolk exhaled in relief, exhaustion but triumph washing over them as they wrapped their arms around one another, cheering for each small victory. "Thank you," the young boy Jake had rescued beamed, joy radiating from his innocent smile. Zira stood frozen. This tiny creature, this child, extending raw gratitude transformed the towering alien's demeanor. "It was merely logic," she replied, though her heart hammered in a rhythm she didn't fully understand yet. As twilight descended, the air was thick with the scent of sweat and adrenaline. Zira surveyed the chaotic aftermath. While the immediate danger had passed, the realization struck her. Her ship had suffered significant damage, perched precariously on the edge of disruption. "Your vessel," Jake started, scanning the wreckage that was once her pride and joy. "It needs help urgently." Zira felt a pang of fear tightening in her chest. "It may collapse at any moment," she exclaimed, scrambling to assess the situation. Her towering figure trembled, waving her arms in frustration. "If I cannot return, I'll be stranded among you." "Stay calm," Jake instructed, blending determination with urgency. "We need to stabilize it before it collapses." He surveyed the crowd. "We need everyone. Let's work together again." "Why would you bother?" Zira demanded, her bewilderment apparent. "You're risking yourself for a vessel that holds me as an entity you deem lesser." "Because we understand that beings, and our lives, are interconnected. We cannot let your knowledge and our chance for growth be lost," Jake articulated, his voice resolute as he built a bridge between courage and clarity. "There's no us and them anymore." Despite herself, Zira felt the fire swelling within, igniting long, dormant embers of admiration. They were shifting, these tiny humans, now drawing her in with their unyielding spirit. Perhaps they could accomplish something beyond her comprehension. With Jake's guidance, the townsfolk once again united under a common purpose. Each person filled a role. Gather supplies, form teams, and pool skills. Engineers, builders, and artists breathed life into previously flailing ideas. "Rope," someone called, and hands whipped into action, bringing thick cords, beams, and nails, forming a flurry of activity around Zira's ship. "Let's stabilize it," Jake called, his voice resonant with authority. "Keep it steady while we retrieve the last supports." Zira felt a strange pride swell within her as she watched. The very beings she had mocked were formulating solutions, braiding their capabilities into something spectacular. Hours swept by in a mixture of tension, labor, laughter, and resilience. "All right," Jake bellowed, standing firmly on a crate for awareness. "We need to align these beams seamlessly. Watch your footing." His energy buzzed in the air. With deft movements, Zira accepted her role, hefting a beam above her head and locking it into place with the deft hands of humans working alongside her. The trust exchanged among them grew like vine trellises. "More to the left. Steady," Jake continued, shrugging off fatigue, his grin infectious. "We can do this." Time blurred, yet the connection deepened. Notes of camaraderie echoed amongst them, flooding the ground with hope. Zira found herself responding to Jake's energy, immersed in a tapestry of intent that belied their differences. Meanwhile, Zira instinctively took on a leadership role, guiding human hands through intricate tasks. Her laughter rang through the air, a sound layered and rich, reflecting a new alliance brewing beneath the light of the rising moon. "Here," she instructed, holding bolts above her head. "Twist them in from this angle. Leverage will make it secure." As Jake moved into position, their eyes met. "Your insights surprise me," he smirked, retrieving a bolt and nodding gratefully. "You're more than a stunning figure." "The admiration is reciprocal," she replied. A moment of sincerity lingered between them, a bridge connecting disparate worlds coming together to build anew. Finally, after what felt like eons of working, murmurs of anticipation floated in the air. "Ready?" Jake called, holding his breath. With one final push, townsfolk pulled together and the ship stood firm, stabilizing against the night sky. Cheers erupted as everyone fell back in awe. "You all did this," Zira said, astonishment painting her voice. "Together!" In that moment of shared triumph, Zira felt a shift within herself. No longer were these humans mere experiments in folly. They were allies, partners, and catalysts for understanding. The gravity of their achievement resonated warmly within her heart. The air hung thick with the scent of celebration as the townsfolk gathered around their victory, laughter melting away the remnants of fear. Jake stood on the sidelines as the crowd sang joyous songs, weaving around their shared experience. Zira stood tall and proud, the delight of accomplishment radiating from her shimmering form. As she surveyed the scene, emotions swelled beneath her cool exterior, a cascade of feelings that found their way to the surface. Their joy was infectious. Every echoing laugh and carefree grunt towered as pulsating rhythms, creating a symphony of emotion she did not expect to feel. She had set out to ridicule these beings, but found herself curiously swept into their world. "What is this feeling?" she wondered aloud, a whisper barely carried by the wind. "Why do I care about this vessel's survival? Setting aside my own, it was your world that wove this bond." "Are you getting soft, Zira?" Jake approached, a teasing glint in his warm brown eyes despite the exhaustion that lined his face. "It was purely logical," she replied sharply, but her heart didn't quite echo her words. "What purpose do you find in this hope?" Jake shrugged, allowing a chuckle to escape. "Hope is the core of humanity, our North Star through chaos. We seek something greater than ourselves. Your presence here has transformed our understanding." Her brow furrowed. "And what do you see in me?" "A leader," he said simply, sincerity radiating from his voice. "You bear the weight of experience and knowledge. You've bestowed respect merely because we've aligned through necessity. That bond means something more." Zira's heart raced unexpectedly, countering the layered detachment she typically maintained. The once foreign concept of companionship began unraveling her understanding, taking her beyond the barriers she had trusted. "I came here as a void of judgment," she confessed, voice softer. The weight of truth crystallized in her spirit. "And yet these tiny humans are complex. Just like the grand cosmos you traverse, Zira," he interrupted with a smile, infectious in its promise. "But you are not the folly I expected," she continued, contemplating the revelation that thrummed between them. "I underestimated you." "We underestimated each other," Jake murmured, the air thick with recognition. "Perhaps the greatest discoveries happen when we challenge our preconceptions." The weight of the past began to peel away. Her journey from the ship to the wild chaos of the fair to this newfound companionship with Earth's inhabitants painted the horizon of reality in colors she had long forgotten. A child scurried up to them, eyes alight with curiosity. "Are you going to stay?" he asked, voice innocent, hope spilling from his lips. Zira faltered, a sense of panic bubbling beneath her composed exterior. Her mission here had been to judge and depart, but evidence of a greater connection now tethered them, a responsibility she hadn't anticipated. "Stay?" Jake echoed, weighing the gravity of inevitability. "This is your choice, Zira. You must find yourself here and decide." As the townspeople reveled in their collective triumph, Zira pondered the implications of her departure. The little voices echoed from around her, hopeful eyes gazing up, questioning her decision. An eclectic mix of emotions coursed through her. Here, despite her intimidating presence, she had forged a connection with Earth's inhabitants. Each smile directed at her weighed heavier than any crown she had worn amongst the stars. "No," Zira finally breathed, clasping her hands against her heart as she gazed around. "I can't stay forever. My responsibilities lie beyond, and yet I now understand the essence of being here, sharing with you." Jake stepped forward as if to bridge the chasm she implied. "But your knowledge, if you could continue to share it, think of what this could mean. We've just begun to scratch the surface." "I see that now," she started, but he interrupted, eyes alight with fervor. "You mean more to our understanding than you realize. The world changes when strangers connect." "I risk losing everything," she said firmly, the edge creeping back into her tone. "The vastness calls me home, but I sense I've found something deeper here." "What if this isn't just a moment?" Jake urged, warmth washing over him as sincerity gripped his heart. "What if it becomes part of something larger? What if you become a teacher?" "Teacher," Zira echoed, astonishment rippling beneath her thick skin. She had never taken on such a mantle. The thought of her knowledge, vast yet uncharted, spilling into these lives, stirred something marvelous inside her. A cacophony of laughter erupted nearby, reminding her of humanity's joy. In contrast to the coldness she associated with her species, humanity possessed warmth, intuitive compassion, and a flourishing vibrancy she couldn't ignore. "All right, I'll tell you this. I may leave, but I recognize our paths may entwine again." She took a deep breath. "I will be your ally in learning, but my journey calls me back to the stars." The crowd erupted into cheers, their jubilance filling the space between them like a tapestry woven of promises and newfound connections. One of the children approached, fascination transforming the air into an effervescent joy. "Will you teach me about the stars?" Zira knelt, meeting the child's gaze. "Yes, I'll share tales of worlds beyond imagination, of the connectedness of all beings." In that moment, the realization that life was a shimmering sphere of interconnected wonders became evident. As the sun cast golden hues upon them, and laughter ricocheted off the walls of creativity, Jake stood mesmerized, reflecting not only on the bond, but the unfolding tapestry of fate he had forged with a species he once perceived as magnificent, yet isolated. "You are one of us, Zira," Jake said softly, emotions overflowing in his voice, "and you will always have a home here." In that moment of fated contrast between stars and earth, Zira understood that she was not just a conqueror or seeker of folly. She was becoming part of their journey, an integral thread in an ever-expanding tapestry woven by the cosmos. The jubilance of the gathering swirled in the air like a soft melody as night descended, veiling the skies in a cloak of darkness speckled by stars sparkling above. Zira looked up, sensing a shift, a glimmering energy calling to her, breathing life into starlit promises. "Can you stay?" the child repeated softly, hope gleaming in wide, innocent eyes. Yet deep within her, she felt the familiar tremor of duty pulling her back towards the cosmos. She hesitated again, her heart caught in the web of possibility. She began to contemplate the ripple effects of departure and connection. There was gravity in the connection she had forged here, an understanding that transcended their differences. Acting on instinct, she reached for the small device that had originally seemed so trivial. "This will allow us to communicate, exchanging knowledge and stories about what the stars can teach us," Zira said, unveiling the intricate communicator. "Thank you," Jake exclaimed, wrapping his hand around the device, a smile stretching across his face that glowed with genuine excitement. "Our bond doesn't end here." "Indeed," Zira replied, an unfamiliar warmth blooming in her chest. "However, I cannot stay. I am bound to the cosmos, but my heart resonates with the prospect of shared knowledge." With wistful gazes exchanged, the townspeople drew closer, an aura of unity enveloping them as Zira prepared to board her ship. She turned, addressing the crowd. "You've shown me something extraordinary, enduring spirit and brilliance unfurling on a planet so often disregarded. For this, I am grateful." Those words hung in the air, and silence draped like a comforting blanket as she felt an odd pang in her heart. What was that feeling? Regret? "Zira," Jake called, moving toward her, determination etched on his features. "This journey isn't just yours anymore. It's ours. We'll build connections. You'll learn from us just as we learn from you. When I look to the stars, I want to believe you stand amongst them." As her ship hummed to life, Zira felt the pulse of truth echo within those words, realizing the power of the interlinking paths life weaves through existence. "I will not forget this," she vowed, looking deeply into Jake's eyes as though to imprint this memory upon her very soul. As the vast expanse of the cosmos embraced her, she ascended into the night sky, casting one last glance upon the vibrant patchwork of humanity below. A world that had challenged her ridicule, ignited admiration, and unveiled a sense of belonging she hadn't anticipated. "Until we meet again, tiny humans," she whispered into the star-kissed night, a promise slipping through the cosmos and settling into the fabric of her being. In the following days, life resumed in the little town. However, an undercurrent of excitement coursed through the residents, a newfound ambition ignited by their brush with the cosmos. Jake became a hub of inspiration, more determined than ever to harness that experience and forge new realms of possibility. "Zira taught us something special, didn't she?" Jake gathered residents and shared his thoughts. We mustn't squander the chance to explore beyond ourselves. As small conversations ignited, the townspeople began sharing their ideas, innovative solutions for sustainability, collaboration, and creativity. The seeds of inspiration planted during her visit blossomed into vibrant discussions, fueled by the thrill of the unknown. Jake led initiatives to capitalize on harnessing renewable energy fully, employing technologies Zira had illustrated. As their communities evolved, he found himself transformed into a crossroad of knowledge, a local scientist turned outreach leader. And yet, amidst the excitement, Jake kept the communicator close, gently wondering about their paths intertwining again. He often found his gaze drifting toward the stars, his heart thudding with unyielding hope. One fateful night, after a particularly spirited day of brainstorming, a shimmer graced the sky, a familiar shape forming amidst the constellations, ever so slight yet poignant. "Gather, look!" Jake exclaimed, pointing skyward. The townsfolk instinctively sprang to attention, gazing upward, hearts fluttering with anticipation. A collective gasp broke through their breaths as they witnessed Zira's ship gliding across the sky, majestic and ethereal. "What's happening?" someone whispered, awe painting their features. Jake felt his heart leap, the certainty pooling in his chest. "It's Zira," he declared, the thrill of possibility pulsing through him. "She's returned." As the ship descended gracefully, Zira emerged, casting her awe-inspiring silhouette against the shimmering backdrop of the night sky. Tension buzzed through the crowd, a reinvigorated energy washing over their veins. "Zira!" Jake shouted, a wave of exhilaration breaking free as he plunged forward. The townsfolk erupted into cheers, their spirits soaring like the ship that had captured their hearts. Zira stepped forward, acknowledging the humans that had touched her heart. "I returned to witness what you've accomplished. I spoke truths from my own heart. Yet the power within each of you resonated with a force unlike any I had encountered." Tears welled in Jake's eyes, and he stepped closer, unwavering. "We've been waiting to explore the possibilities together. Your insights were life-changing for us." The crowd fell silent, wrapped in the palpable tension of excitement and hope. "Let's share what we've learned," he proposed. "Let's combine ideas and stretch the boundaries of our reach." Zira's eyes shimmered, marveling at their enthusiasm. "As you've proven before, transformation comes not solely from one mind, but from the multitude of hearts united." In that moment, as she joined the gathering, she recognized they wouldn't simply share knowledge. They would weave together a tapestry of existence that spanned realms far beyond Earth. A weight lifted from her shoulders, and with it came the satisfaction of newfound purpose. Zira had believed her journey was to crush those beneath her. Now she felt the call of connection, collaboration, and understanding transcend mere presence. The laughter rang through the air, a melody of unity and aspiration, echoing into the stars beyond. As Zira immersed herself among the humans she had once scorned, she finally understood. They were not insignificant beings. Instead, they were threads in an expansive tapestry, weaving the cosmos together, a shared journey that had merely begun. In those fleeting moments, Zira's transformation was undeniable. From being a judgmental outsider, she had evolved into an ally who understood the depth and nuance of humanity. For Jake, this journey reaffirmed the boundless capability of connection and creativity, proving that even the tiniest beings could coalesce into something celestial. "Until we meet again," she whispered, her voice echoing across the kaleidoscope of stars, a promise wrapping around the universe that unfurled before her.